Hello everyone, I'm Kana Taku. For the first video, I talked about what PTG is and who we are. So for the second video, I'd like to talk about how we study PTG. PTG is not a personality trait or a special talent that only a few people possess, but rather it is a phenomenon, a part of the human experience. So from ancient times, humans have always experienced suffering and sometimes grew out of it. That is a part of the human history of evolution. Since PTG is a phenomenon and experience, it exists and it is non-tangible. In other words, PTG occurs whether or not we are aware of it. But to study it, we need to see it. So it is a bit tricky and there is no perfect single research method. In general, we use three major strategies. We can watch people, talk to people, and ask people to fill out surveys. Number one, use observation. Because PTG an experience, we should be able to spot PTG by watching human actions and behaviors. Have I ever done that? No. Well, yes, I have clinically observed many cases of people who demonstrated PTG during psychotherapy when I practiced in Japan. But as a researcher, I have never assessed PTG by observing behaviors. There are a few researchers who focus on behaviors to study PTG, such as Dr. Stephen Hopful. He coined the term action-focused growth. But not many researchers have used observational methods to study PTG, partly because it's really not easy to identify the exact behaviors that will be a good marker of PTG. Number two, interview. We ask people who have experienced trauma about how they might have changed following their traumatic life experience in a one-on-one interview or small group setting. This is more common than observation. There are two types of interview, structured interview and semi-structured interview. In my lab, researchers who study PTG in children use the structured interview approach. We prepare all of the questions beforehand and ask them one by one. When we use a semi-structured approach, the challenge is determining how direct to be. For example, some researchers use a rather direct question, such as, some people talk about positive changes that have taken place since dealing with the trauma. Have you experienced any positive change since? Whereas other researchers use broader, non-leading questions like, could you tell me how the trauma you've experienced has affected your life? How have you changed or not changed? I used this type of question when I first studied PTG for my dissertation. Number three, survey. This is the most common approach in social science. There are still two different ways. One is direct and the other is indirect. Just like observation, researchers who prefer using indirect method identify a key concept that is supposed to change if a person did experience PTG, such as increased well-being, increased self-esteem, increased meaning in life, and so forth. And the other is a direct method. We tend to use this approach. After all, if a person does not recognize how they have changed here and now, we have no means to know if they actually experienced PTG. So there are many scales that are designed to assess PTG, such as the stress-related growth scale, the benefit finding scale, the perceived benefit scale, the changes in outlook questionnaire, the silver lining questionnaire, and the thriving scale. But the most commonly used measure is the PTGI, Post-Traumatic Growth Inventory. There are 4 different PTGI. The first one is the original PTGI, which was published in 1996. that has 21 items with 5 subscales. Two researchers, Rich Tedeschi and Lawrence Kaufman, collected 34 items that represent PTG and used statistical analysis to end up having 21 items. This original PTGI has been translated into at least 24 different languages. It's being used a lot around the world. But there was a criticism. One of the 5 subscales of this PTGI is called spiritual change, that is supposed to measure spiritual growth, but had only 2 items. So Rich Tedeschi, Lawrence Kaufman, Arnie Kahn, Emre Senol-Durak, and I got together to come up with 8 new items to more broadly capture spiritual and more existential PTG. We then collected data from multiple countries and cultures, and after deliberation, we kept 4 new items. This resulted in an expanded version of the PTGI that is called PTGI-X that has 25 items. And there is a short form called PTGI-SF that has 10 items. Also, we have the PTGI for children that's called PTGI-CR that also has 10 items. And we have used all of them. They all have similar structures and consist of the statements that are likely to represent PTG, such as, I have a great appreciation for the value of my own life as a result of my crisis. And we ask people to choose one answer from a 6-point Likert scale, where 0 equals I did not experience this change at all, to 5, which equals I did experience this change to a very great degree. In a future episode, I'll talk more about what we know so far about the PTGI-X and all of these inventories. It is once again my sincere hope that you will find our research and the project interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can catch all my videos. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at taku@oakland.edu. If you'd like to know more about PTG or our research, please visit our website at kanakotaku.com. Thank you.